An interview with Sean Harper, the CEO of Feefighters, the school food revolution, what you haven't seen on television, and why keeping a fat diary is the best tool you can have. For the week of April 18th, 2011, this is Food News Today. Good morning. Food News Today is sponsored by ConAgra Foods, who shares with me the desire to provide the most current, interesting, and unbiased food news. Now, despite all the hoopla, and with both limited resources and rising food costs, school nutrition programs across the country have been working away behind the scenes and making tremendous progress in offering healthier meals in school cafeterias. The School Nutrition Association reports that this group is providing high-quality, low-cost meals to students across the country. But not all of these successes have had their 5 minutes of fame, like the success that Jamie Oliver saw from his stint. Good news about school meals just doesn't bring in the TV ratings, nor their deserved accolades. The School Nutrition Association's Back to School Trends Report found that schools are serving more whole grains, more fresh produce, and while working to reduce added sodium and sugars in foods that are served on the lunch line. Many school districts are encouraging extra helpings of fruit and veggies and now have fresh salad bars. And over half of the schools are increasing vegetarian options. The report also shows that nearly a third of districts are purchasing locally sourced items, while more than half use energy-efficient equipment and 44% recycle packaging waste. Many schools have implemented kids' cooking competitions, partnerships with local chefs, and garden nutrition education programs. But there's one disturbing fact. Most school cafeterias out there do not have trained staff nor equipment to cook foods from scratch. But even these schools have started using higher quality prepared foods, including leaner meats, more whole grains, and less salt and sugar to make even the prepared foods served in schools healthier than ever. Here's some examples: baked sweet potato fries or wedges, even pizza served on whole grain crust with low-fat cheese and low-sodium sauce. Cooking healthy can be achieved on a budget, and these changes have only come because of the hard work and perseverance of school nutrition professionals. We have to remember three things while we're advocating for healthier food choices in schools. The first, most important, the cost constraints. Second, the complexity of the rules governing the national school lunch and school breakfast programs. And third, that we have to acknowledge the great work that is already producing significant change. Understanding the business of restaurants is something that many chefs find out the hard way, but now there are many tools to help restaurateurs succeed. Earlier this week, I had the chance to chat with Sean Harper, CEO and co-founder of Feefighters, a free online comparison shopping engine that lets business owners quickly find the best rates for credit card processing service. Think of it as an Orbitz or Expedia for credit card processing. Clients of Feefighters include many restaurants, and as a result, the firm conducts research into the ins and outs of the restaurant industry. In putting together the infographic with all these facts and figures in it, was there any surprises that you had?
Gotcha. I think restaurants are getting hit by a bunch of different increases in cost. It's not just the cost of food, but it's also the cost of labor, which has been going up. It's also the cost of, one thing we worry about a lot is the cost of financial services, because that's our business, and that's been going up a lot. One interesting thing sort of counterbalancing that is the rise of the coupon site. You don't have to go far until you run into somebody who only dines out when they have a Groupon or a Living Social deal, which is, I think, a pretty big change for every industry, but restaurants included.
So tell me, Sean, what effect do companies like Groupon have on the restaurant business?
Oh, I don't think it's good. I mean, obviously, few restaurants, when you run a Groupon or one of those something comparable, you're really only getting a quarter of the price that you ordinarily charge. Half goes to the discount, and then half of what remains goes to the coupon site. There aren't that many businesses that can survive if they were to cut their prices to 25% of what they are now. So the whole viability of that business model depends on people shopping for the first time using a coupon and then coming back and paying full price, which I think if you look at people's behavior, there's at least a big group of folks that don't behave that way. They just dine out whenever there's a discount, and otherwise they go somewhere else where there is a discount.
Over the past few months, I've talked to a lot of restaurant owners and interviewed them about the effects of Groupon. Bottom line is, none of them seem to want to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what you'll see is the Groupon and their like have established online shopping as an important channel for restaurants, and that's not going to change. Whether or not the finding a new place to eat online is tied to these humongous discounts, I think that will change. Restaurants are going to, essentially, if you look at what Groupon and Living Social are doing, is they're advertising on a mailing list where they're buying clicks, and they're arbitraging that into these enormous cost per acquisition where the restaurant only pays if they actually deliver the customer. So they're really just giant online advertising machines. And as restaurants realize the enormous amount of folks that do make their dining decisions online, eventually they'll just cut out the coupon sites, advertise directly online, market themselves online in free ways, and fill their restaurant seats that way.
It seems like every day there's more news reports about healthy eating. The First Lady's involved. All the celebrity chefs are involved. Has this changed the restaurant business?
Oh, absolutely. It seems like there's a chapter in every book about healthy eating that covers how to eat healthfully in a restaurant, which is sort of a unique beast because I think there is this perception that restaurants, when you go out to a restaurant, you might eat something that's less healthy than you usually eat because it's a special occasion. No one knows exactly what goes into restaurant food, and I think everyone has this suspicion that they're putting more butter in to make it taste better, more salt in to make it taste better, because it's difficult to actually see what's in it. But people are becoming more concerned about it.
Now, before I let you go, what's the one piece of advice that you have for would-be restaurateurs?
Operations. I think what makes the biggest difference between success and failure is really just how is the business being run, and how are costs being controlled, and is somebody actually paying attention to each of the line items that ultimately determine your profitability. Yes, it's important to get folks into your restaurant seats, but it's really important also that you're doing that in a profitable and sustainable way. It's actually just a business where you need to pay attention to the business, even though it's probably not the sexiest part of the job.
Thanks, Sean. By the way, did you know that contrary to popular thought, the failure rate of restaurants is only around 26%, not the 90% that is commonly reported? Now, I have to wonder if that stat will actually change thanks to the Groupons of the world that attract just the bargain hunters and force restaurants into huge discounts, often receiving just 25% of the menu price. Did you know that the average person recalls only half of what they eat? Though you may remember what you had for breakfast, what about those extra nibbles you had while watching television, browsing the web, chatting on the phone, or picking off your kids' plates? A food diary puts a stop to this lack of accountability. According to Dr. Christopher Mosnick, a weight management and diabetes specialist at Greenwich Hospital in Connecticut, writing down what you eat is one of the most important weight loss tools. And I quote, "Keeping a food diary is like exercise. It will always help you lose weight if you do it consistently." In observing his patients, he finds that those who keep food diaries are usually very successful. Their treatment programs last only months versus those who are on not so keen food diaries. Their treatment programs can last sometimes years. The National Weight Control Registry recently reported that keeping a food journal is one of the top strategies used by most successful dieters. And a recent study in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found that dieters who tracked their food intake lost twice as much weight as those who did not. Well, about 5 years ago on supermarketguru.com, we started offering our readers a free online diary. It's called Phil's Fat Diaries. Yeah, I know it's not politically correct, but it makes the point. To date, we have 7,648 people who have used the diaries. The simple act of keeping a daily food diary can be quite revealing. It can tell us what nutrients we aren't getting enough of, keep track of calories and fat, point out sources of stress or environment that provoke overeating, or what foods result in energy slumps. In addition, diaries can assist in managing food budgets, showing us where money can be better spent on healthier items and cutting costs in other unhealthy areas. The act of keeping the diary can broaden your knowledge of how to find a healthy balance with budget and diet. Want to start tracking your intake or share a tool with your audience that's sure to help, and it's free? Just go to philsfatdiaries.com. For Food News Today, I'm Phil Lempert. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week.